All right, we are back with Lisa Waters Lane. She comes in each week with your garden questions. Just what are your neighbors talking about? What's going on out in the community? And we share that and just kind of expound upon it. So,
Mhm.
welcome to the studio, Lisa.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Really?
Well,
You like being in this little room with me, don't
well,
ya?
okay.
Yeah. So, how's your day been? So it's like gardening 101 on the garden center
Mm.
floor, and then you take a break. It's hard to get you out of the garden center to get you behind the microphone sometimes. It's very frustrating.
Well, it's not my favorite thing to be behind the microphone, but yeah, lots of people come in with questions and concerns, and I enjoy helping customers.
Wait, you know, when I get stressed out, that's, too many accountants are stressful. Taxes are stressful, attorneys are stressful, vendor payments, payroll. But when I get too stressed, I go out and just talk gardening with gardeners.
Hmm.
It's kind of fun. It is therapeutic. There's something
Yes, it
fun
is.
about it.
That is true. You should do it more often.
I should. Well, why don't we do it right now with some garden questions? What are
Okay.
people asking about?
Sure. So Janet would like to know when's the best time to dig and replant iris?
Yep,
And then what you add to the soil when you're replanting. And then she also wants to know about the other, like daylilies,
sure.
hostas,
Yeah.
things like that.
So we just went into an encyclopedia of how to transplant and move plants around. Let's start with iris because that one's so easy
Mhm.
and it's so natural here in the mountains of Arizona. Iris grows everywhere. Seems like animals seem to leave them alone mostly. There's no real insects that get to them, but they do tend to overgrow each other. So in
Mhm.
about 3 to 5 years, they'll just choke each other out. And so you have these gorgeous blooms the last 3 years, and all of a sudden the flowers are smaller. There's
Mhm.
less of them. That means it's time to dig those up and transplant them. So an iris has a rhizome or a root that kind of grows out, and that flower is stored inside that root for next spring. In fact, when you open them up, cut them in two, you actually see the flower sort of folded up inside that
Mhm.
rhizome or tuber, depending on the flower. And so you want to dig those things up, and you'll have hundreds. I mean, literally hundreds. You started out with three rhizomes, three flowers, three roots, and you come up with hundreds, and they're just choking each other out.
Mhm.
So usually you'll dig those up with a fork or a shovel or something. You can be brutal because you're going to have too many. You're going to have to give some to neighbors, spread some around your gardens, and still you'll be composting or throwing some away. So dig them all up that area and set them up. Oops, on a uh,
You
hitting the
talk with your
microphone.
hands
I
too
do talk
much.
with my hands. Then put them out on a tarp or wheelbarrow or just get them out to the side. Then you're going to replant, pick off the best, strongest of those big roots, your big fleshy roots.
Mhm.
You're going to replant those almost immediately, that same day, back into the gardens. You're not going to plant all of those because you'll have way too many flowers, too many roots to put back. You'll take the strongest ones, and those
Mhm.
are going to be the biggest flowers for next spring. Now, going back to your question, what do I do to prepare the soil? Well, you need to revitalize the soil, nutrients. So that's adding some, usually compost is what you're going to be using.
Mhm.
Do not use manure. Manure actually has some enzymes and stuff that kind of eat away at the flesh or the
Mm.
tissues of that root. So you really don't want to introduce manures into your bulbs
Oh.
or root crops because it's too hot. You're going to blend this mulch, which is it's compost but not manurized
Mhm.
compost. Blend that back into that garden soil. So you're preparing the bed so it drains, adds some nutrients, allows the roots to get out through there and grow for the next 3 to 5 years.
Mhm.
Add some fertilizer. I would suggest all purpose plant food, 744 all purpose food. And at the same time, to really get those flowers really bright and big, add some bone meal into that and blend that all together. Mulch, bone meal, and all purpose food. Blend that together and then start plugging your strongest, biggest rhizomes every 6-12 inches or so,
Mhm.
and you're set for the next flower. The timing, I guess I didn't mention that. Now, do it now. So August, September, October is
Yeah.
your best time to
Should you
dig
cut
up.
those, cut them back before you start digging?
So a lot of folks will cut them back. I would say, yeah. Uh, Usually you don't have to do a lot of that, whether if you've got the really big roots. If you're giving smaller roots to kids, friends, neighbors, yeah, cut them back. There's not enough root to really support them. But yeah,
Mhm.
cut back that green frond or green leaf coming up out of that.
Mhm.
Cut it halfway back or so, and then just start sticking them. They're going to go dormant for the winter, but they're going to come back strong starting February, March, and they'll start blooming the end of March, April,
Yeah.
May. So it's time to do that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And what about daylilies?
So
Same
those
thing?
are different. Daylilies, you'll actually take a division. You have to take a shovel. You're not digging up the roots. You're actually taking a clump. And so you're dividing those. Same with echinaceas and gaillardias, all those other perennials.
Mhm.
You're taking a clump and then pulling that up. So you're actually severing the roots and dividing them in two almost with hostas. Then you're going to separate them and then replant them out around the yard because they just get too big. I mean, a
Yeah.
hosta can go from a cute little thing to this 3, 4, 5 foot perennial.
Yeah.
It's time to kind of separate them out so you can grow them and have a bigger garden, another garden someplace out in the yard.
Right.
Usually going to do those midwinter. So
So,
wait
not
till
time
they
for
go dormant.
those.
Yeah, that's too early yet.
Yeah.
Iris are unique in that respect, but everything else kind of wait till they go dormant. So I'd start November, December, January, February, March.
Okay.
You got a big window to divide and separate those
Okay.
and make more gardens.
All right. Next question is from Tom. He has a large native pinions and junipers that he's been kind of nursing along. Since we've had all this rain, he's wondering, do I need to water come October, November, December, or should I just kind of let him go now?
So it was pinion pines, right?
Mhm.
So pinions, the native guys. So we have pinion pines you can plant in your yard. They're natives. We've even got the one that you get the pinion pine nuts from. We have that available to plant in your yard here at the garden center.
Mhm.
If they're fairly new planted, water them through winter. So in that respect, yes, water a couple times a month. I would say starting November, about once a week. If we get a good storm, you can cut that off through until November. So that's the difference. For the big native ones, they've been around for a while. Sounds like he's been nursing along. Sounds like that. I got to cover for the whole audience. For that, I would say no, you don't need to water. We've had plenty of moisture. I think it can go through. If we go another 2 months without water, which is possible. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, but it's possible. Yeah, break out a soaker hose or sprinkler head and water that. So sporadically, the best thing you can do for your native trees, pinion pines, ponderosas, manzanita, whatever, fertilize them between now and Halloween. So just fertilize around that, and they're going to use that food to help form the bud growth or the candle growth for next spring. So those things usually will start growing March, April. You want to set the stage for that. Keeps the color going, helps them recover from scale damage, bark beetles. It really keeps them healthy. So more than watering, fertilizing.
Okay. Would you also think using some humic on them would be a good idea?
Yeah, humic especially has been so drought. The drought actually did more damage a year ago. And yes, we've had some moisture. We're out of this for a season. But still that root growth, that root damage, the plants actually lost some root mass because of the drought. So what humic does, and you use this in conjunction with your foods. Food actually helps promote top growth, needles, bigger canopy, foliage, thickness, vitality. Humic does the same thing under the ground for the roots. So it helps the roots to start, actually feeds the mycorrhizals and the worms, the things that are living in the soil. It feeds those so they want to attach themselves to the roots. It kind of tickles the roots of the plant. So they actually extend out root growth. So you get a hardier, stronger tree. So absolutely anything stressed, off color, damaged, spotted leaf, anything that's kind of remotely looks, well, it didn't quite look right. Humic is a great additive to the fertilizer.
Yep.
Well, there we go. Questions in the can. Be right back. Ken and Lisa Lane and the Mountain Gardeners. We'll be right back.
Okay.